the new stream. I don't know if you've tried that. I have done demos on it. People seem to love it, especially when they're recording videos, team meetings, that type of thing. So it seems to be helpful in environments where people want to store videos to be able to share out later. What are your thoughts and feedback on the new stream?
Wait, so one of the points that you mentioned was really important that you kind of just breezed past real quick was the fact that people in the organization, they don't know what they have. And so they'll go out and purchase this other tool to use because they maybe are just not familiar with what they have available to them. Another example that I thought about immediately was bookings that I started using also for scheduling meetings. We'll send people a link.
Yes.
And the cool thing about it is that it can look at my calendar to see when I'm unavailable. And that's the bookings with me part. And then I can set time parameters on when I want people to actually schedule sessions, such as podcast recordings, right?
Right.
All right.
No, but before you move forward on booking, I have a question about that in regards to how does that tie in or integrate with Outlook? Are you using booking for your personal calendar and your work calendar, or does booking only work for the calendars that you identify? How does that work?
So that's a good question because I started using it for personal reasons, but through the company, the work account that I have, because it's still reflecting my calendar availability. And
in Outlook?
In Outlook, yes. So it can still look at your Outlook calendar because that's where all of my meetings are. And it can look to see when I'm available or unavailable so that people don't overbook, which is what I thought was the most important. Now, I will say, though, I'm actually logged into my personal 365 account, and I don't see that I have bookings available in my personal account. But I think that if, depending on your license, like if you have at least a business premium or a business account or enterprise account, you should be good with using bookings. Don't quote me on that.
So it's safe. Okay. No worries. I was just thinking that it would be really cool to have a tool that incorporates your personal and your work, because sometimes, and I've run into this as well, like I'll have a meeting on my personal calendar, but I did not manually update it on my work calendar. And so it's like, you scheduled that meeting at 1:00, but I'm really not available. So I have to decline it or, present another time frame. And I think that if we had something to incorporate the both, then that would be ideal. So
to your point though, right? Like sometimes what I'll do is I'll block my time on my calendar, and then I might send people a meeting poll with Find Time in Outlook so that they can choose the time slots that I want them to actually select. So that they're not just throwing anything on my calendar. Yeah,
random times.
Yeah.
Yes. Because they will do that.
You have seen that?
I have experienced that. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah.
It's 9:30. Why are you scheduling me for 10:15? I haven't even really had a chance to check out anything else on my calendar, and you've already put something on here. But anywho, I digress.
No, I agree. So the other part that I like with Outlook mobile is when you reply, there's like a little icon at the bottom, and it basically says select availability. So you can choose, these are the times that I want you to choose from. And yeah, it shows them like, here are the times that you can choose. Don't just pick anything.
Random thing. Yes.
Like, this is here are the times that fit for me. Yep.
Right. And this is my true availability, not just
you picking something random.
I'm gonna move past that because that irritates my whole soul. Just be like, why are you just throwing stuff on my calendar? Can you at least ping me first and say, hey, are you available between blah, blah, blah? Because sometimes people don't update their calendars. That's a real thing.
It's true.
But yeah.
All right. So in the vein of calendars.
Moving forward.
Oh, no, that's fine. I get it.
Okay.
This is the moment to, let it all out. So speaking of calendars, meetings, what we just did was change our weekly sync with our client meetings to be connected to the channel. So if you start a meeting in a channel, in a Teams channel, then the good thing is that everyone can see that this is when we have our weekly sync. And you have to also, when you're setting it up, make them required if you want them to get a meeting invitation in their email and it's placed on their calendar for them.
Right.
The other part is that the reason why we did this is because we wanted everyone to, we wanted the external team members to be able to access the meeting recordings, which was like the biggest part. Because if you just schedule a regular meeting invite, you record the meeting, someone's going to ask, can you share the meeting invite? Can you share the meeting recording with me?
Recording.
What I'm talking about is, can you see my screen? Okay, so I'm in a team, and let's just say we've invited our clients and internal people to the team. If you go to the various channels and you say, schedule a meeting. So we can call it weekly sync. And this will schedule the meeting and it'll be in the team. And of course, everyone who joins that team has access to it. They can click on join meeting in the channel. If you wanted to show on their calendars and they get a notification that they have been invited to this meeting, then you can just add the person, make it a weekly reoccurring meeting. And then at the end, the external people, the guests, have access to the meeting recording automatically.
Right. Okay. Automatically through the channel. Right.
Yes. Which is
That's
annoying.
Pretty cool. Yes. Because they're like, can you send it? Can you send it? And you don't have to do that anymore. It's right there in the channel. That's pretty awesome.
Yes.
I was thinking about, there was something else with Teams that was pretty cool. I read it in the message center probably like 2 weeks ago, something about grouping. When you send an invite meeting, go ahead with the thought.
No, you trigger another thought of something I saw.
Okay.
Sure.
So when you send a meeting invite to, let's say, a group of 5 people, right? And then someone in that group is added through intra ID now, which is AD, the old ID, AD. That person now is added automatically to that meeting invite. I think that's the way it's supposed to work. But they said it was coming out like at the end of August, I think, maybe. Don't quote me on this, the dates. Don't quote me on the dates. But the idea is that, so if I am new to the group, then any future reoccurring meetings I'll be added to, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. And I feel like, but this is me thinking or maybe connecting dots, and maybe these dots exist and maybe they really don't exist. But I remember seeing with distributed groups, where if they are used inside of Engage, like let's say it's the sales team, and they're all a part of the sales team, when they get added and changed inside of AD, that membership changes, then they're automatically added inside of that community, inside of Engage. So I could see that being a similar type of scenario.
Right, with Outlook. And I think that it's weird that they're making these new announcements of things that probably should have already been included before. Like it should have been an automatic thing that if I have a reoccurring meeting that I've set up with you and I, that if a third person comes in, they into that group, it'll do a sync crawl, whatever has to happen for it to now recognize that that new person is there, and then they automatically get invited to that existing meeting. But we'll see how it works moving forward. I'm actually looking forward to it because as of right now, you have to cancel the reoccurring meeting and then start a new one, kind of refreshing the group, and then they'll be able to be added again to it. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. So you got anything else, or can I stick with the meeting realm that we're on? Because I have another one related to meetings.
We can stick here.
All right. So as it relates to meetings, so there's another feature that actually two features that I want to share. One is it's all about languages, though, right? People working with people with different languages. When you are scheduling your meeting, and it doesn't matter if it's a channel meeting or a regular Teams meeting. Let me just do a regular Teams meeting. So you have options for, nope, I probably should have stayed exactly where I was doing. All right, I'll pick that back up. So when you look at the meeting options, you have the ability to, of course, see all the different scenarios for how you want to handle the security. And, maybe it's great if you just let everyone bypass the lobby, or maybe you want to hit admit for everyone. But what I really wanted to get at was this other option down here for language interpretation. So if you have interpreters in your meeting, then you can add the participants in the meeting, and then you can select them to be interpreters. And then you can decide if they maybe are speaking and translating to Spanish, for example, right? So you can add interpreters to the meeting. And it kind of will mute the person that's speaking the different language, and you hear the interpreter. We kind of test this out. That was pretty cool with the client.
Okay, so my question was, if I speak Spanish or understand Spanish, that's my native tongue, and you're English, if Sally is the interpreter, I'm only going to hear her versus the other people in the meeting, correct?
Exactly.
So does the interpreter pick up everyone else's, or is it just one person that they're focused on in that meeting?
Ooh, when we tested this out, I feel like the other interpreter was muted for Sally. And I believe that definitely like the main, like the speaker, the presenter was, you can hear the presenter, the main presenter.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to see, I was just asking because that's awesome if I'm now speaking and the interpreter is translating what I'm saying, and then once you start speaking, they interpret, what you're saying. Now I get, like, if, as the presenter, I ask a question and then the other people that are answering, the interpreter doesn't pick that up. I get that part. But as long as the main person that is speaking or that's deemed the presenter, then they pick that up in that particular language. If that's the case, that is so cool. I'm going to test that out on my next meeting just
Yeah.
to see
Just
if
to
that,
see. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. And then another pretty cool question that our team got asked this week was around how to translate languages in a
Oh,
document, right? And I didn't even know this existed in Word. Okay. So
wow.
if you were to have a document that
Mhm,
has a different language, and
mhm,
you go to the review tab here and then you can hit translate selection,
mhm,
and that'll just open up this pane where it shows you the translation,
mhm.
right?
Wow, that's
Or
pretty awesome.
yeah, or if you translate the entire document, then it'll open up a new document with the Word version in it. And then the
Right.
person was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So what if I had a PDF document, right? And so I
Mhm,
explained how you can convert your PDF to Excel. I'm
mhm,
sorry,
mhm,
your PDF, you can convert your PDF to Word
mhm.
if it's not like a scanned image,
Right, right,
right?
right,
And then you
right,
can open up in Word and do your translation there. So
right.
yeah.
That is pretty awesome. I had no idea about that in Word. And it's so weird because honestly, I think I take advantage or take for granted the basics of, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, any updates or innovations that are happening with them because I'm so focused on the other applications that are in Microsoft 365. So I really need to circle back and take a look at Microsoft Words, the update that they have provided, Excel. There's still some die-hard Excel fans out here. Like they would rather use Excel than some of these other tools that would be more efficient, you know, uh, faster to use. But Excel just everybody keeps saying it works.
It
So
works.
and that's what they like to stick to. So I definitely need to do a deeper dive into those three basics because they've been there since Microsoft began. And the expectation is that, yeah, they're like an oldie but goodie type thing. You can always count on them, but you're trying to look for the newest and greatest and,
Mm,
faster or whatever, but that's not always the best, for the solution that you're trying to solve. I mean, the solution that you're trying to come up with for the problem that you're trying to solve. So
right.
I'm definitely gonna have to take a look. I know there's been some really good templates developed in PowerPoint. I love me some PowerPoint.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how many other people use PowerPoint since Canva came on the scene, but PowerPoint works pretty well as far as a Microsoft tool as well. So
Yeah, and there's some kind of feature with Teams with PowerPoint too. That's pretty cool with the way you do your presentations.
I do want to put a plug out for all the Microsoft admins out there. You need to sign up for Microsoft Message Center. It normally comes out on Sunday, late Sunday, early Monday mornings, and it gives you a list and a breakdown of all the new features that Microsoft is coming out with so that you can just be aware if you need to make adjustments to your security, your tenant, multi-factor authentication, all of those things. They talk about data protection. They talk about Copilot, anything that's related to Microsoft products. They come out every week, the email, and you can go in, do a skim, see if it's something that your environment uses or it doesn't, and if it's applicable or not. But I think it's a very good place to start in preparing you for up and coming updates that, or upgrades that Microsoft is making so that you won't miss any type of security patches that are coming through or, app updates. So I just want to put a plug in. I don't work for Microsoft. This advertisement is not paid. Okay.
Okay. All right. There you go. You had to add a little extra in there.
No, it's not. So,
But so
um,
let's but let's talk about the fact that there's like 500,000 messages that come through, and how do you manage the messages? Because you said you get an email, but
mhm,
I have a different take on the messages and how they are handled. So I would love for you to share your process, and then I'll share mine.
Yes. So this weekly digest here, it comes out and it talks about all of the new updates that are coming up within Microsoft 365. It also sends out reminders if you need to make any updates to your tenant or security updates, it would be listed here. Once you click more, you have to be logged in as an admin in order to see the rest of the information. And it also provides instructions in the admin center so that you would be able to, act accordingly. I really like it because, my team does it on a weekly basis so that if there's something that's coming up in a month or two, we can be prepared for it and, knock it out or just put it on the back burner and say, hey, this is not as important versus something that is more important. Anything that's involving purview, we have to look at early because we have to send it to our risk management team. And so if there's any organizations that have a separate department that goes through, risk or any type of security, then they need to probably act more quickly on that because that can sometimes take a while. So but anything else, we don't use data loss prevention. And I know that a lot of organizations do use that. That's another one that I would advise you addressing a little earlier rather than later in order to cover anything that may be missed as far as security patches. So.
Okay. So, all right. So let me share my screen, right? So just to connect the dots and show what I think that I'm trying to work on a process for consistently. Mm-hmm. And just by talking to you. And I think the part that's missing that I need to get better about is the regular review, which is why in the beginning I said there's like 500,000 messages. Mm-hmm. Here. So what is helpful though, right? Like, of course, coming through here and being able to dig through, sort, filter on various services mm-hmm. is nice. Seeing a filter for purview, I feel like is newer.
It is. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
that is pretty new.
And so the what I have done is the planner sync. Mm-hmm. Because that's kind of nice, especially if you use Planner, when the messages come in through the message center, kind of categorizing them as, okay, this could be an interesting feature. Mm-hmm. Maybe we need to kind of investigate this more. And definitely interesting could be, all right, we need to act on this and figure out a way to either provide it as a solution to a client, or maybe mm-hmm. it's a video around it or some education around it. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I think it's going to get better, but sometimes when a feature is not necessarily rolled out to that particular tenant, I was on a call with someone at Microsoft who said they were going to try to get better about rolling out updates that's specific to your tenant versus more generic ones. Mm-hmm. Because you've probably seen that too, where something rolls out, but it's like, well, it hasn't necessarily hit your tenant yet.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amy, for the opportunity to get on here and discuss all things Microsoft. I really love talking about tech with you because we get it. Like, we understand the language that we're speaking. So it's really important that, we vibe off of each other, learn from each other, glean from each other. And I just appreciate you for, inviting me on the show and just us working through, showing us the demo and us vibing off of all things tech. And I thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I think fumbling through is a process as well. That's natural because no one can keep track of everything that's happening. Things are changing all the time in tech. And it's important to also, like you said, share ideas and what we've learned with each other along the way. We've been in this game for a really, really, really long time.
Yes.
So we are comfortable with saying, if we don't know something, we'll go find the answer and we'll figure it out together. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we just enjoy it a lot. And there's so much that keeps us busy. So thank you for joining me today. And this was a fun conversation. I had to mix it up a bit. So this is good.
Thank you. Thank you.